Good evening, welcome to Central News for Tuesday the 11th of February. I'm Hilary Entwistle. The Brian Perry Waikato Sports Awards were held last week in Hamilton, with winners covering a cross-section of sports. The awards are a culmination of district sports awards and secondary school sports awards held around the greater Waikato region. Chief Executive of Sport Waikato, Matthew Cooper, says the Brian Perry Awards are well contested.
And you can look at the secondary schools. I know that Cambridge High did very well, Hamilton Boys High very, very good. And then you go through some of the officials as well, club level. So we're lucky. And we also acknowledge down in Livingston the Mayor of Waipa for his leadership in sport. So having 530 odd people, a record for us for the Brian Perry Regional Sports Awards, it just captivated a really good night where justifiably Waikato sports people, we celebrated that.
Hamilton Gardens continues to add to the Fantasy Garden collection, and its latest attraction opened on February the 5th. Hamilton Gardens Director Peter Sergel describes what we can expect when we walk through the tropical garden.
Well, it's quite different from most of the other Hamilton Gardens, different sort of character. A lot of lush tropical planting, bright coloured walls, a pool in the middle and some vertical gardens that we've created.
The Avanti Drome is still a month away from completion, yet it has already attracted world-class riders to our region, with Bike NZ setting up their headquarters in Cambridge. High Performance Director Bike NZ Mark Elliott says it was a natural choice to set up at such a world-class facility.
When you look at Bike NZ, it's a combination of 4 different sports across the country. So we have BMX, mountain bike, road cycling and track cycling. Bike NZ's role in the high performance program is about making sure that those athletes that compete for New Zealand on the world stage are going to win Olympic and World Championship titles.
Now for our region's weather for Wednesday. A few showers and a freshening westerly for you, Hamilton. Your expected high is 25 and an overnight low of 11. Tauranga, it will be mostly fine, but there is the chance of an afternoon shower. Your expected high is 25 and an overnight low of 15. Just ahead, we meet a world champion. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. 2 laps around Lake Taupo in record time. Tito man Jim McMurray crowned the Ultra Marathon Cycling Association World Champion. Anne-Marie caught up with Jim to discuss his world record win.
Jim, you set a new course record for 2 times round Lake Taupo. How long did it take you?
9 hours, 1 minute and 52 seconds.
And you're now the Ultra Marathon Cycling Association World Champion. That's a fantastic achievement.
That's correct, yeah. For the 200 mile mark, they have 2 events a year. One's for 500 miles and I won the 200 mile. Maybe the 500 could come up one day, but we'll see.
Tell me about the enduro races that you compete in. What are they exactly?
They're traditionally like Taupo, where you have your 1 lap fun ride and the race. Then they say, right, anything over 2 laps is an enduro. The K2 do the same. They have a 2 lap once every 4 years, and that's coming up this year. So that'll be just on 400 kilometres around the Coromandel.
How do you train for such an event?
Lots of miles, lots of races, ride long and race hard.
You also love the Rev 100 as part of the Avanti Drome Rev Cycle Festival. How many times have you raced the Rev?
This will be my 4th year this year.
Why do you keep coming back?
Well organised. It's probably one big feature is that when you finish, the elite race is still to come through and you get to watch, the pros and others coming in. And the venue's great.
It's not a closed road race. Do you feel safe out there?
It starts early enough that we're on the road before a lot of the traffic. There's marshals on every corner, every intersection. That's part of the beauty of the event. It's well organised. There's some events out there that are dodgy, would be a fair comment.
As someone who's on the bike a lot, you must see a lot on the roads that make you cringe. What's your biggest safety message to both cyclists and motorists?
Tolerance from both parties, the cyclists and the motorists. I drive 1,000 kilometres a week with my job, and I see pretty crazy drivers and I see cyclists that are, need to keep left a little bit more or be aware of what's going on, and there's never a big hold up. So yes, tolerance would be the number 1 message, and keeping left for the cyclists and single file when they need to.
You can register at therev.co.nz. Housing prices in the Bay of Plenty are the second most unaffordable in New Zealand. I spoke with Bill Waisley of Smartgrowth to find out how much land has been put aside for new housing and what service land means.
Service land is land that has a range of physical services to it in terms of water supply, wastewater, stormwater and roading, together with over time a range of community services, and whether they are parks and those types of things. So it is land that can then be developed once those services are available.
25 years, that's a long time, but do we really have the infrastructure to cater for that? I mean, some could say that we're actually struggling right now without infrastructure.
One of the challenges that both councils have in the smart growth area is that ability to fund infrastructure. And what the smart growth strategy does in terms of aligning where growth is occurring and when or what the timing is for infrastructure provision. So not all of that land is available for development today. It is over a phased period because of the challenges that each territorial authority has in terms of funding that. And there are also contributions made through financial or development contributions made by those building houses and those developing land.
What are those boundaries? Are we going to be like Auckland and forever expanding?
Essentially the footprint has been in place since 2004. So they are defined areas. For example, Papamoa and Papamoa East. We've got the lakes in the south of Tauranga. There's been development around Bethlehem. Certainly there's been infill development throughout the city. And then there's Amokaroa and Te Puke and Katikati, all which have areas defined for further growth. So it is relatively, it's not constrained, but essentially that development builds on existing urban areas.
Could Te Puke and Katikati potentially be part of Tauranga?
No, there's still, those communities will still retain their distinct identity and certainly will be separated by significant areas of, for the want of a better word, rural land and open space. I think that's one of the key aspects of the smart growth strategy. It's actually having the defined locations that are quite separate, and that separateness is intended to be maintained.
Coming up next, the Dairy Women's Network. Welcome back. There has been a lot of talk recently of the growing dairy industry and its impact on our waterways and what we should be doing now to protect the future of New Zealand. The Dairy Women's Network is holding some workshops on this issue. Joining me in studio tonight is Karen and Angela from the network. Welcome, ladies. So what activities does Dairy Women's Network have coming up locally?
Well, we've got an exciting day coming up on the 25th of February. It's in Te Huna, and it's focusing on water and its ways. So in the Greater New Zealand framework, we've had a big focus on water. So it's water management, smart water use around the dairy shed. And so it's going to be an interactive day on farm. So we want local women to come and they can learn how they can play their part in monitoring water, what a water meter is, how to read it, why they're required, and then even how to use water less, or more wisely, more efficiently, on the farm.
Compliance is a huge issue, and within the Waikato area in itself, we have Variation 6 that has come in, and I think most farmers actually do comply. But what we're actually having to do now is actually monitor that compliance and basically show a paper trail for what we're doing. So part of the Dairy Days is that this is very much a woman's role. Often, men are often out there practically doing the hands-on, and it is often left to the women to nail the compliance issues. And DWN sees it as a very important role to support women and giving them the tools that they need to be able to actually deliver what each of their councils need to make sure that we are actually complying.
How much does it differ with different councils around the country?
Hugely. I mean, I personally only really know what's happening for us on farm and what's been required of us. We have a major stream running through our farm, which is 2.5 kilometres long, and we've had to fence both sides of it and riparian planting. We also have a small contributory running into that. So that that's the clean green image, the water quality issues coming through. And also within the farm dairy, we have put in a water meter. We're reading that daily, monitoring water usage within the shed. But that is, as I say, that is just Waikato. But I think Angela said that it does vary dramatically within councils.
Yeah. Every council across the country has different focuses, and I'm not an expert on any of that, but that's why we've put together these days. So they're throughout the country, and we have regional councils attending the day, and they are the experts. They can tell us what we really need to be doing. So Dairy Women's Network has facilitated these days, so we've got specialists in these areas so they can be telling us what we should be looking at and what we should be doing. And the other thing we're doing on the day is how you can plant riparian plantings. So once you've fenced off the waterway, how you can plant the sides out and where you get started, what plants to plant that work well in your area, and how to manage those.
So Karen, what is riparian planting then?
From a personal experience, one of the small contributing streams on our farm, we have fenced both sides of it, and in 2005 Waikato Regional Council started monitoring the turbidity of the water and the temperature of the water through the summer period, and we have seen a definite gain through the planting and the shading of that stream in those areas of water quality, and as I say, they have been monitoring it through now, so that's actually coming up 9 years this summer. But as I said, fixing water quality or looking after water quality is a long-term plan for everybody. It's a buy-in situation for all of us.
What does riparian planting do specifically to the waterway?
What do you think, Angela?
Well, we fenced out the waterways so stock can't get in them, and effluent from the stock can't get in. And then what you're doing is you're planting, putting plants on the sides, and those plants then shade the water, so it means the temperature goes down, and then when the temperature's down, it helps
aquatic life. Bacteria is less likely to grow, as I understand. And there's also the utilisation of those plants of the nutrients, the flow-in effect from the surrounding land area. They utilise the nutrients to come, that are flowing down towards the stream. So
as we put fertiliser on our properties, if they head towards where the waterways, which all naturally it does, those plants absorb and uptake any nutrient runoff.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's quite important that we plant along the waterways.
Is it a particular type of plant that you have to?
It is, I think, within regions, very much you have to plant, you need a plant that's vigorous and will survive under your climatic conditions. For us, where we are in Atiamuri, it is extremely cold down there, so we need some very frost hardy. They also need to be able to handle wet feet, because a lot of them are in swampy, wet areas. So this is where you basically gather information from experts so that you do it once and you do it right, because it is an expensive undertaking by farmers to do this. And
what has the regional council found on your farm? Have they given you some feedback on some of the quality of the water and the?
Each year we actually get a report that comes in from Waikato Regional Council. It's just a small breakdown of the improvements over the years. There's a series of photographs that show us what 2005 looked like and what 2014 looks like. There's also a graph showing water, as I say, turbidity, temperature, the aquatic life that is within the stream. So So yeah, it's a journey, and it's great that everybody comes on board and takes that journey together.
It sounds like, yeah, it's a good initiative.
It is, extremely.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming in, ladies. You can find out more about the network on their website, dwn.co.nz. That's for Dairy Women's Network. Stay tuned, as up next we find out what you can expect at the Hamilton Garden Festival. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. The Hamilton Gardens Art Festival runs for 2 weeks from the 14th of February. The spectacle of the arts features both free and gold coin donation performances. Anne-Marie spoke with festival director Hamish Nathan.
What is the Hamilton Gardens Art Festival?
The Hamilton Gardens Arts Festival is the Waikato region's iconic summer event. This year is going to be the 17th festival. We've got a bit of everything. There's circus, theatre, dance, music, comedy. So it's a busy couple of weeks, and there's definitely something for everybody.
Now, with over 250 performances, there really is something for everyone. Is there also something for every budget?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the festival's aims is to make sure that things are affordable and accessible to the public. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that's free. There's another bunch that's just only a gold coin to get into. There's lots of theatre and music and comedy that's sort of in the $10 to $30 price range, and then you've got our premium events, which are sort of $30 to $50. So there's definitely something that everybody can get along to.
The festival is launched with a spectacular opening performance. Tell me about Symphony in the Gardens.
Yeah, well, traditionally this has been sort of something that we've done on the last Sunday of the festival. It's kind of a bit of a hangover from when it was a 10-day event. So we decided this year to open the festival with a bang, and have the fireworks and the symphony and the big concert on the first night. So we've got a world-class conductor, James Judd, who's going to be joined by Deborah Waikapohe and the Opus Orchestra. So it promises to be a really amazing night with a spectacular fireworks display at the end of it.
And that is just a gold coin donation, or I noted you can actually get VIP best seats on the lawn.
You can. It's something that we've introduced this year. There's lots of people turn up to this particular event really early and try and get their posse with their blankets and their picnics and all the rest of it. But we thought there was maybe a bunch of the population that sort of would quite like to be able to go, I've bought this ticket to this seat, I know where I'm sitting, I can turn up half, 3/4 of an hour before the show starts and go from there, and they're still only $25, so it's incredibly reasonable for the performance that you're getting.
Now, a perennial favourite is the Teddy Bears picnic. It's on Saturday the 15th of February, and my 5-year-old cannot wait.
Yeah, I mean, this has been around for a long time, and it's probably the second biggest event at the festival as far as the number of people that actually come along. The main stage this year, we've got Rosie the Cow doing her show, Sambatron on the drums, Zoo Boogie are back again. They're a real favourite with the kids. There's also going to be all the usual rides and face painting and all that sort of stuff on the lawn as well. So it'll be a busy 4 hours on the lawn.
Being prepared can make all the difference when a natural disaster strikes. Anne-Marie spoke with Kelly Newell, the local Civil Defence Emergency Management Coordinator at the Waikato District Council, to find out more.
What has the Waikato District Council done to prepare for a natural disaster?
So at the council, we've set up an emergency operations centre. It's kitted out with all the required equipment so we can just move in there and start work in an emergency. We have staff that we've trained and prepared to be able to respond and work in that environment. And we've also got myself, who is the dedicated civil defence professional, and we've got the relationships with other civil defence professionals around our region and supported by the regional civil defence group.
What kind of natural disasters could potentially affect the Waikato District Council area?
We have a huge amount of hazards in our area. So we have 2 known fault lines that could cause earthquakes nearby. So there's the Kurapahi fault. There's also the Wairoa North fault up in our northern boundary. Tsunamis in both Port Waikato and Raglan. We've got flooding that can happen in our lower Waikato River. There's storms, there's severe weather, there's droughts. There's actually a huge range of of disasters that can affect us. So it's not just what happens in our district as well. It's impacts from disasters that are happening outside our district. So, for example, if Auckland had an issue with a volcano, their volcano field started to erupt and they needed to evacuate out of the region, we'd need to be there to support them. Or potentially Mount Taranaki erupting, and then the ash coming down to our area and causing havoc. So that would be an issue for us.
Does the she'll be right Kiwi attitude present challenges when encouraging people to prepare?
Yeah, it does a bit. So the message we want to get to everyone is be prepared and get ready to get through. So having those things like a getaway kit, a survival kit, a household plan, and knowing your neighbours before something happens is really important. So without having, if you're not prepared beforehand, it's not a matter of we've run out of food, let's pop down to the shop. So the shop might not be open, there might be no power and no EFTPOS, you might not be able to use the roads to get there. So it's really, really important. And you don't know what circumstances you're going to find yourself in a disaster. It's just a matter of understanding the hazards in your community.
Make sure you are prepared by going to getthrough.co.nz for more information. That is Central News for today. You can like us on Facebook or email us at news@tvcentral.co.nz if you have something you would like to share with us. Join me again tomorrow night for more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.